Welcome to another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com Deep Dive presented by Dottie's Family Market in Dover, PA. Joining us on the show this week is former California sprint car driver Kyle Hirst. Before we get to Kyle, Dottie's Family Market is your one-stop shop on the way to the races. They have fresh-made sandwiches and subs with all the fixins, perfect for a night at the racetrack. Dottie's Family Market has everything you need in one location, including a full-service deli, a wide selection of groceries, and gas. If you're looking to dine in, head over to the Hive Coffee House and Cafe for a great sandwich. There is also a seasonal greenhouse on site, and coming soon, Dottie's Crab House, where you can dine in for fresh seafood and all-you-can-eat Maryland crabs. Head over to the corner of Canal and Bull Road in Dover, PA. Dottie's Family Market has you covered. Now here's Kyle. Kyle, welcome to the Deep Dive. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Hey, thanks for having me. I got your text and I was surprised I'm not driving anymore, but I always love doing these. So thanks for having me.
No problem. And I think that's probably the point. You're not driving anymore. I talk to so many guys who drive every week. So I wanted to kind of get, this is kind of like into your career and what you're
hmm
doing now. And I was looking up a bunch of stuff on you, and you're a third generation driver. You were a
Yeah.
third generation driver. So this is something that's been in your blood since the beginning. Is so when you, I guess, were really young. Is that kind of how that you got involved in racing? It's just the way it happened because of your family.
Yeah, that's really all we did. My dad's stepdad raced Joe Hill, and then obviously my dad raced for 20 years. And they come time he had kids, and I don't really I'm glad he got back in. He retired in 94 and then raced again for Terry Cowan in 2001. So 94, I was only 7, 8 years old. I wasn't old enough to kind of remember. You were still just playing in the grandstands, that kind of stuff. So I'm glad he raced again years later and I got to actually watch, see his win at Chico, stuff like that. But yeah, once, he retired, he kind of retired so I could go racing and went to a quarter midget track and did that. And, it was on pavement and they said you couldn't pass on top. And my forte was the top, and I didn't know that then. But I was like, oh, there's a dirt track across the street. Let's go do that. So I was at Perry City, and I'm pretty sure it's still around. They got all kind of stuff out there now, but yeah, it's just it's just in our family, and it's all I know. I'm 37 now, and that's all I've ever done. My dad was a tile setter, so I did that on the side as a kid to help pay for the racing. And I knew, man, I don't want to be carrying these buckets of mud or grouting for my whole life. So I better figure something out, whether it's school or racing. It ended up being racing. So, yeah, it's in the family. Like I said, my sister's married to Willie Croft. They race every weekend. My brother's married to Tiner-Hirst, which her parents run Placerville Speedway and the SECT Challenge out here. So, I mean, at every given weekend, we're all at the races somehow or another.
So you get started in quarter midgets. Obviously, asphalt wasn't something that you took to, so you went to dirt.
hmm
How long until you got in your first sprint car?
That was 16 years old. I think I wheel packed. I think honestly, the first sprint car I was in was actually my partner, Steven Tiner-Hirst, that, we have with the series or the business here. But I think we were in Hanford. This is many moons ago, but we were in Hanford. They let me wheel pack, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. Obviously, I was running go karts at the time, but yeah, 16 was the age. It's obviously different now. You can be 14, run a 360, but 16 was the age back then in 2004. And so we had run go karts, and it was time. And my mom and dad put everything on the line to get me in a sprint car, and so that's what we did. And man, it was a bad year to be a tractor tire Silver Dollar Speedway because I think I hit about every one of them.
How long did it take you to kind of get your craft down to where you could be competitive? Was it a long time? Because it kind of was in your blood. Your dad was a NARC champion at one time, I believe
Yeah,
1986. So it's not like it wasn't in your genes.
No, it was definitely there. It definitely took a something to get used to because I didn't. I mean, I literally 16. I went from driving a 500 go kart at Cycling Speedway in Red Bluff and right out to Chico with a 410. Like I didn't do the 360s, but Chico was a local 410 show every Friday. We thought that was a good place to start, and that was going from a go kart to 900 horsepower. And I mean, I don't. I won one my second year. The first year, I tore a lot of front ends out. My dad's hair went gray, and but it was a learning curve. But I just had to learn where my tires, the bigger car. I had to learn that. I learned the horsepower. Had to learn how to control it. Run 2 feet with the brakes and the gas and everything like that. But I mean, just something I had to adapt to, just like you do in anything in life. I had to adapt to it, learn it, and the second year, it was only when I got from my parents for the 2 years that we did it together. But we won one in Santa Maria, so that was pretty special to win one with them for everything they put forth for me to do this. And then it just came time, like, man, I mean, I've said this in plenty of interviews or just lifelong, but my brother was getting a mitt and a pair of baseball shoes, and I was getting a 410. Like that wasn't very fair. So, and it was hard for us to do. So, we did it for the 2 years, and then it was time to start calling people and hear the no's. And one guy out of the blue would say, "Sure, you can drive my car." And this guy said, "Yes. All right, let's go. Let's go drive his car." So, and then it just kept spiraling from there, and one thing after another. And here we are some many moons ago.
Who's the guy who said yes? Was that was that Gary Perkins or was that
He
someone
was
else?
down. He was a little later on. I had some other drives I had to do. I drove for too low. Um, God, cars. Dennis Wright was the first one after my dad. Dennis and Christy. They were out of Lodi, and they gave me a chance. So I ran for them for pretty much my whole third year, and then that was it with them. So they were kind of my first kind of break, and I did some other stuff. Ran for Rod Tyner a handful of times. It's hard reliving all this stuff so many years ago, but and then it finally enough rides, and I kind of got in with Gary Perkins with helping Brad Sweet. Brad Sweet was driving it at the time, and so I was kind of like taking care of it during the week, working on it. And then when Brad got called up by Casey to go out there and run the midgets and all-wing sprint cars, I got to be the driver of the 6 car. So that kind of led how that I got to Gary Perkins, and he was a big turning point in my career for running around California. I had Rod Tyner as a crew chief, and then he let me go run the ASCS deal. And then so that was a good, really 4 years with him. That was pretty much like my college. That was my 18 to 21, 22 was Gary Perkins, and I put him through a lot. I made his hair fall out and gray hairs on and off the track, but he was very special to me. I still call him, every couple months just to check in, and he was a big part of my life. So he's always been a lifelong friend, and just call to check in, make sure everything's good. And he was just really special to me. So yeah, I mean, he was a good turning point when that ended, and then came back home and raced for a handful of people again, and then kept just digging, and then end up in the Roth car, and then we end up being with them for 7 or 8 years.
How do you end up in the Roth car? Did they call you? Did you call them? And what was that like to get? Because that's, I mean, let's face it. If you want to run a car out of California and Roth calls, that's pretty special for a California-born driver.
Yeah, and I was driving for Fertulo at the time, I believe. Um, and man, I don't know how I'm gonna tell these stories when I'm older because it all blends together these days, and I'm only 37. But I remember being at Chico, and Tim was obviously in the Roth car, and he came by and he's like, "Hey, I kind of told him you should be the guy for this and that." And I drove another guy, Dan Simpson's car at Tulare one time, and Todd Ventura, that's part of Roth Motorsports, walked out to the trailer like, "Who's driving this thing tonight?" And it was just me and my buddy Mikey, and we're letting this Dan Simpson car eat, and we had a pretty decent run going. And just every time you hit the track, you try to open someone's eyes or put on a show. And so those little things. And then when Tim walked by at Chico, and he's like, "I think they're gonna give you a shot," and I'm like, "Well, that would be pretty awesome."
Yeah.
And so it's just all the little things that driving Dan Simpson's car. I mean, Todd talks. Todd Ventura is another one like Gary Perkins. If it goes a couple months when I don't talk to him, I call him and say hi and just talk about life and stuff like that. They've got me to where I am at today. So they're just friendships always have. But Todd tells me all the time, I remember you in Dan Simpson's car and who's driving this thing? So like that weekend stood out to him. And one thing or another, Tim went on the road and they needed a California driver and I got to step in and then go have it. We go new track record the first night in Antioch and end up winning the feature. So it was like Cinderella first night for a team like that. And, you could go there and have a bad night the first night and they're like, yeah, we don't know if we made the right call. So
Right.
we went and had just a stellar night. And from there, it was perfect. It was just a great match for me. I think them too. It was just, I never really said I needed this or that. Whatever they unloaded, I was ready to gas it up and give it my all.
7 years with them is a long time because let's face it, we know all the guys who've been through there. What made it just work for them and for you? What do you think kind of kept you there where good graces, whatever? Obviously you performed.
Yep. I don't know. We just always had a good relationship. Dennis was just amazing to me. Teresa, they want to win. There's no doubt about it. And we struggle. We had years like in California, we were good. You'd run good, you win championships, win races. But it always, I wasn't on the road with, the Outlaws are tough and they're the toughest competition in the world. But we had years where they'd come through California and man, we wouldn't run out of the top 5 or top 10. And then there's years I could barely make a main. And, like, oh, I'm going to be in trouble for this one. But we just had a good relationship. We ran good locally. We won championships, we won races. And I feel like I'm pretty easygoing. I don't complain. I don't say I need this shock, this wing. I went out and gave it my all every time I drove a race car. And I feel like they appreciated that. Similar to Tim. Tim had a lot. He's the longest tenor driver, with them, whether it was Outlaws or locally, and had a lot of success. And he did about the same. We just got in and drove as hard as we could, tried to win races. Dennis never cared if you crashed going for the lead or moving forward. If you balled it up running 15th or 18th, you might have a little talking to. But as long as you were giving it a crack and putting on a show for him, he was pretty happy. So that was just my goal every weekend. And it's just one of those deals. I mean, you get along with some people and you don't get along with others. And it was a really good mesh for all of us. We had a couple different crew chiefs here and there throughout the years, but the main components of Dennis and Todd and me, it was nothing I could ask for any better than what it was.
And then you win the NARC title, I believe, for the first time in 2013, I believe, was it?
I think so it was.
How special was it because your dad won it? I mean, that had to be, a big deal for you. You're winning races. You're in the best car in California. That had to be kind of a whirlwind year for you.
It was cloud 9 because, I mean, anytime you can join the Katings on a list of stuff in California, you're doing something right. So I know they're one of, father and son to win a championship, NARC championship. And my dad ran second to Brent probably 5 years or 6 years. So to do it and add both our names to that list, the father and sons that were able to do it, was pretty special. And, you look back now, I'm older and I wish I never took it for granted as when I was younger in my 20s, but I was just winning and having fun. And but it's very special to look back now and see that that's something we both accomplished.
Antioch 2014, the World of Outlaws. I have to ask you about this. I thought you won.
So did I.
Take me through, there's a video out there. It's 2014 World of Outlaws show. I believe September 7th.
Yeah, it was after Gold Cup.
Right after Gold Cup. It's at Antioch. Everybody check it out. But it looked to me like you were ahead. Now, I don't know where scoring loop was at that time or what, whatever. But take me through the last few laps of that, crossing the line, thinking you win, and then you don't win.
Yeah, it was heavy. It was super heavy. And we got the lead and I'm like, I'm going to win my first Outlaw show. Like I I got this. And Kerry Madsen, I'm running him down. I'm going to make an effort at this. We're going to give it a crack. And, yeah, go through 3 and 4, got under him. And like the video shows, I went into one with my fist out the car. Like, I won this. I won an Outlaw show. And that's obviously all our goals to win these Outlaw shows. That's a bucket list. You know what I mean? And, yeah, so I rolled into 1 and 2. Like, I just pulled this off. And then their scoreboards off turn 3. And I still saw the 29 in the first and me in second. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. And then I get out, and Natalie Sather was doing the commentating at the time. And she goes, I think it was 0.005. You're the closest second in World of Outlaws history. I said, well, that's a shitty end of the stick to be on that history note. So, but in hindsight, I'm glad that my first one came at Chico, because so that was bitter. That was. And I thought, I didn't want to give it up. I was going to redig the timing loop for him, put it at the flag stand. But, yeah, in hindsight, I'm glad my first one came at Gold Cup, and it's very special. And that's just another thing, like right now, we get to laugh about. But yeah, I would have loved that extra money for the win, because second wasn't as good as first, and it would have been cool to have 2 Outlaw wins instead of 1.
You know, you had to wait 3 years to get one. It was 2017 Gold Cup weekend. Did you get to a point where you were like, am I ever going to win? Because as the years go, I mean, it was only 3, but you get to 2016 and you're like,
yep.
Am I going to win one of these things?
I never pressured myself like I need to win one to be happy or anything like that. Every weekend I just went to win. You know what I mean? I never settled or this or that, but yeah, I don't think I thought, man, I'm gonna retire and not get an Outlaw win. I just went after him because, like I said, there was years I couldn't get out of 15th, and then that we win, and you have a stint out in California where you don't fish out top 5 with them, and you feel pretty proud of that. I'm just glad it did, but I was gonna give Shane Stewart everything I had that night, and we did, and I was glad I could get it done. But I'm glad it happened. I'm glad excuse me. I'm glad I'm on that list. Because it always pops up on social media, and it's only 1, but it is a small list of people for how many people actually run them, and I'm glad to be on it.
I've always, when I talked to you before and a couple times, and you always very low key, very nice guy. Don't really see you in any scrapes or anything, but you were mad, I think, one night at Tulare. Take me through that sequence where I guess it was threw a caution or what happened in that scenario. I thought they took
There's
one
been
from
a couple times I've been heated at Tulare, and trust me, I'm a very easygoing guy, but when that flip or switch is flipped, I can get pretty aggressive. But I'm pretty sure that there's a couple times, but I'm pretty sure it was a Peter Murphy, and it was 10 grand to win. So that was one of our biggest paying races for California at the time. And I was coming to the checkered, and I mean, it had rubber down, and I was in the Tarleton car that year, and it had rubbered, and I was coming to the checkered, didn't see no one crashed, and the yellow came out, and I heard over the radio, yellow, and my hand's out the window, and they called it for a kid that spun in 3 and 4, did a 360, and he made it was not in the way, nothing. Still a crucial call. I would still argue it, but yeah. And then obviously being rubber down track, my right rear had gone down, and I didn't hang on to the win, end up running 3rd or 4th. But I really wish I checkered would have flew for another 2 seconds so I get across the line there. But yeah, I always stay calm, always let stuff go to the waste, but I have that fire inside me. I always have, whether it's work, kids, being a husband. I strive to be good and try to win, and it's in me, but it comes out every once in a while when it needs to.
So you walk away from the sport you're in your 30s. You made the decision to walk away, and what led to that decision? You were on top of your game. You were the best in California. What made you decide to call it a career?
I think it was a factor of things. Definitely kids was the biggest. I have three beautiful kids, beautiful wife, Amy. And family's always been amazing to me, whether, Todd gave me a chance to go on the road, and my brother's having kids, my sister has kids, and we do a lot of stuff together, whether it's birthdays and Christmas, and um, so family probably had to be the biggest one of it, especially for me having kids. Um, and I always said when I got like when I was driving, if I'm not, I was having fun, but when I had kids, I'm leaving every weekend. I can't take them with me every weekend. My wife has a job; she's a physical therapist. She works Monday through Friday, and it wasn't working as fun when I was in my 20s, and you live with your buddies and driving a race car. And
Right.
granted, I give all these guys props, like Joey that did it for years and away from his kids. It's a huge sacrifice, no doubt. You miss a lot. Um, and granted, I'm still gone a lot of weekends racing, but I'm doing it a different way, helping kids have a business. Um, and it comes down to I had kids and I have a family and I wanted to provide and something. I got to make a living, and this business is doing that now. And racing, if something happened, granted I got hurt or whatever, I couldn't do that. And so it was just time for me. And the more I raced, after I had them, and when you race, you need to be thinking about racing. And I was thinking about my kids driving to Tulare, and it was just like and I've always made my own decisions, and that's when I decided, and that was time. And me and Steve ended up racing the year after that, and that was fun because it was very family. His family would come, my family would come, and they're all still part of it. But I just knew it was time, and I was happy with it. It didn't bother me. I'd done everything I wanted to do. I still remember going to because when I raced California, Australia, did the 4 years in Australia, New Zealand. My daughter went with me one year, but one year they couldn't. And I remember being her at the terminal, just crying. And I was leaving for only 2 weeks, but I was like, man, I don't want to miss 2 weeks. I can miss a day or two or a speed week when we go up now with our business. But yeah, I think it literally came down to my kids, and I just wanted to be there for them. And that's was a decision I made, and I don't regret it at all. I still, like I said, I did everything I wanted to do in a race car. Got my name on Outlaw win. I won the classic. I've won championships. I've made friends, countless friends. I wouldn't trade my memories for anything I could. And now I feel like this is just my next chapter. To me, to think me and Steven started this 7 years ago just still blows my mind. And I'm on to the new endeavor.
So you were on the road briefly.
Mm-hmm.
I believe take me through. You were on the road for like in Texas up through California or
Yeah.
what was that like? Because you mentioned the road and you never really hit the road full time with the Outlaws.
No.
Probably could have. Uh, what what led to you being on the road? What was that experience like? And did you just not really like it?
No, like I said, when I did the ASCS deal in 2010, I was 21. It was fun. No kids. You're just living the dream. And whatever year that was, that Todd told me it was my turn. Something happened with TK, so I got the call. It was my turn. You get a shot at it, which I've proven myself out here. We've won races, we won championships. I'm like, all right, this is the next step. Let's go do it. I'm grateful for this. Let's go give it a crack. And went out there, and I literally ran 2 weekends, and I knew in my heart, like, I don't want to. I want to drive a sprint car, but I don't want to be home or away from home. I have wife, girlfriend at the time. Wasn't for me. And I wish I would have waited one more week because I never got to run Eldora, and
Oh, okay.
Eldora was that weekend. But I knew in my heart, and like I said earlier, like I've always done what I wanted to do and the way I do it, whether it's me being stubborn, choice, this, that. But I just knew it wasn't for me being in a hotel all week and this and that. And I knew I couldn't afford to fly back home every week and still race. I was making a decent living running California, and doing what I was doing, going to Australia and stuff. And so I called Todd and I said, Todd, this isn't for me. And he respected it 100% and came home and went back racing here. And they put Craig Delansky in for Eldora. But that's the one regret. I wish I would have went to Eldora.
Fair enough. So
Yep.
you walk away from the sport and you start it's Tiner-Hirst Enterprises.
Yep.
What led to this idea to open up a speed shop? I guess it's speed and fab shop.
Yep.
It's you and Steven.
Mm-hmm.
You do fab work, you sell parts, and obviously
Yep.
you had the Kadings out there who do that. I mean, I don't know how that went, but
Mhm.
what led to you guys kind of getting together and doing that?
So one of our favorite trips all the years we raced was Speed Week in Oregon. And we'd go up there and we'd race. And obviously it was a great week. We'd barbecue, have beers. And we did it. We probably talked about we need to do something for 3 years. And granted, this is a couple Coors Lights deep and a barbecuing late at night. We should do something. We should do something. He's racing. He lives in Visalia at the time, but he does stuff. He's one of the best mechanics I know. He's hands-on, knows motors, knows cars, setups, the whole thing. And then I was really good at fabbing. I'm like, we can do something here. We can do something. We bullshit, laugh. All right, let's go race. We forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came to, he's working for Dennis and Christy Wright that I drove for when I was 17. That's who he was working for at the time in 2018. And I was like, Steven, we should, let's actually put this, Speed Week drunken barbecue talk. Let's make this happen. And we talked about it. And then we ended up getting a shop at Chico and we both put a little bit of money into it. And he had these parts and tools. And obviously the big part he had the race team, and that brought here. And we put it all together. And, you heard, just like anything, you heard, hey, they're never going to make it. You obviously had ART out here, and we weren't trying to take no one over. You know what I mean? We weren't trying to take over Kadings. We weren't going to try to take over ART, BR, but we were Northern California. Chico didn't have Kadings are in San Jose, ART's in Sacramento, BR's in Visalia. And so I was from up this way. And so it was a stretch for me. Steven was in Visalia. And so to talk him into coming up here was a huge, but I feel like this place needed that void. Chico didn't have anything. And Chico at that time ran every Friday night before COVID and all that happened. So I was like, man, this could be the perfect storm right here. Chico needs a speed shop. There's a lot of racers here, Gold Cups here. Let's make it happen. And then you have the naysayers. Oh, it's never going to work. You're never going to make it. Granted, our lights haven't turned off yet. I don't know if we're rich, but man, we've helped a lot of race car drivers go racing, fix cars. I mean, we damn near do everything besides a motor. We can fix frames, rear ends, shocks, new parts, used parts. We help, high end teams, low end teams. We're racers helping racers. That's all it is. We love it. And I mean, Jeremy, when I got away from racing, I couldn't decide I was going to go underwater basket weaving. Like, this is all I've ever known. Like, I had to find a way to turn my racing into something else I could do and still be around in the sport. And so 7 years has honestly felt like 2 weeks. I say it all the time. Like, I have no idea that it's already 2025. We made it through COVID. We did through this. Like I said, we're not getting rich, but I don't think anyone in racing is. You're either spending
I'm not.
Yeah. So it's just what we love. And what we're doing now with, racing with kids, and like, it is very enjoyable to see kids succeed, even help a guy fix his frame on a last minute deal or whatever it is. Like, there's enjoyment for both of us out of it. It's a lot of hours, a lot of work. I mean, summertime, we're, it's 6 days a week. We're in on Monday at 8. After we drop off our kids, Steven drops his girls off. I drop my kids off at school. We're at the shop. And then 90% of the time we're racing Friday, Saturday. Get home at 3 a.m. on Sunday morning, sleep for a little bit. Kids wake you up, spend time with them. And guess what? We're back here Monday at 8. So definitely a lot of work, but there's just so much enjoyment into it. And we love it. We love our kids and our cars going fast and winning races. And I'm just very happy with, what me and Steven have created over the last 7 years.
When you started this deal, it was right around the time, and I remember having you on the podcast to talk about the fires in Paradise.
Hmm.
And this was, I believe, right around the time or pretty close to the time that this thing got started with you and Steven.
Hmm.
That whole time had to be very stressful for you. I mean, your home made it. I think it was three on your street that made it, but your
Yep.
shop burned down. You were doing this other thing. You had to evacuate. I mean, all of this going on. What was that time like? And do you think that going through something like that, both as a family and with your business, has kind of helped you been successful over the last 7 years?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely wasn't what you wanted to see. Like whether it was just, it was tough. But I think that's what racing's taught me over the years. You have bad nights and you have good nights, and that was just one of those bad nights. And we pushed through it just like you always do. And that's why we joked after COVID, like, damn, we made it past the fire. We made it past this. I mean, Steven lived in a trailer at his parents' house till they found a house to move up here. Like we we put a lot on the line to make this all happen, and it's uh it's very rewarding to get to where we are through all that. But I mean, we just never gave up. We just kept plugging, and there was months, oh man, it's getting tight. Oh, it's this, and but it's racing. We deal with a lot. You deal with everything. That's one thing racing's taught me over the years. You can't control everything. Whether it's a lapper spinning out before you're going to win 10 grand or not, you just go on to the next weekend and keep trying to be better every day.
And this business has grown and become very stable over the last 7 years. What's been the key to that? I mean, is it, servicing not just, sprint car drivers, but, the cycle and stuff, all the way around?
Yeah, it takes every bit of it. Let me tell you, it's not just one thing or the other. Um, just me, Steven work our butts off. We're lucky to have Corey Guy. He was my crew chief for plenty of years. Race with Steven. He's just grown up around us for our whole lives. He works with us here every day. Um, we just have three hardworking guys, and then we have kids. Our kid Tanner's helping us right now. He's great help. Uncle Tom comes in to help. It's just the support we have from our friends and our family. Because Steve and I can't go to the races or by ourselves on the weekend and take care of two cars when we have to, or whatever comes our way. And it's not only, I mean, like we crashed two cars last weekend and service them up, and that's just not only thing we're doing. We're also, customers need this or that, or their car plumbed and car repaired, and this guy needs his rear end done. Like it's a lot on our plate, but with the help of me and Steven, I wish we could clone ourselves, but we're lucky to have Corey and everyone else that comes in and helps us out. And my dad, his dad, he'll run around, come help build wings when we get wing orders in. Like it, we're the main pieces, but man, without everyone else helping us, there'd be no main pieces to be. So we're very grateful for just all our friends and family that help us out and make this whole thing go round.
Now you say you go to the races. Is it in the house car, or is it you just help out customers? How does that work when you go to the races on the weekend? What cars are you? Because you said about you have to bring them back if they're crashed, and
Yeah.
so what is that?
So we have our two house cars, 94 cars.
Yep.
Last year we ran with Braden Chermonte and Corbin Ruschenberg. This year two cars was a lot last year. It was a lot for just motors, personnel, everything. I mean, I think that's the great white unicorn in race car racing is finding good help. Like, and
Yeah.
it's just, we have the good help we have, and I would not trade them for the world. But running two was a lot, and it was, not saying thinning us out or this or that, but it was demanding. And so this year we're gonna, we'll still run two when it's Chico. It's 5 minutes away. You're not driving
Right.
two truck and trailers 6 hours down the road, getting home late at night. But so this year we're running with Braden Chermonte, pretty much 35 shows. And then we'll fill in like Ryan Rocha. They have their own stuff, but their dad's been a big sponsor of us, Robbie. They're running with us for 3 weekends. Elijah Giles, his stuff's out here. He's going to run with us for the next 2 weekends. Like, we got guys that come in, get their cars serviced. But the main thing is our 94s going to the racetrack, and then we take care of them, run the kids. We're going to go up to Oregon for Speed Week, but then all our customers on top of just your normal running a race team. So it's just props to our wives for putting up with us being away, Amy and Paige for being away and dealing with all the time we're, going racing to do what we do and what we love.
I know you had Anthony Macri in a car, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
for his trophy. It looked really good. I
It
mean,
was.
how did that deal come about?
Him and Steven have become pretty good friends over the years. And he just wanted to come out and drive. And we might try to make it happen again. I hope we get to make it happen again. Macri, him and Steven, like I said, have been really close. I'll talk all the time. I'll chime in with a text every once in a while. Hey, good job, or joke with him. But he's a hell of a shoe. He's a good driver, and he drove the shit out of it at Trophy Cup. That's like you can't compare nothing to Port Royal, but it's a Port Royal on steroids and a paperclip, I guess. But he definitely went through some ladders and some right rear outer halves. But hopefully we can make it happen again, because I'd love to take him to Trophy Cup and see if we can get it done with him.
So I want to ask you just about some California things, because it's such a different area than anywhere in the country. I take some heat because, I'm in Pennsylvania, but I say the best young drivers come from California. Why is that? Look at the win lists every year now. You have Brad, Buddy Kofoid, Kyle Larson, Rico. You have all these guys, even the non-wing guys, Justin Grant. All these guys come from California. What's in the water out there? I mean, you've run against these guys.
Yeah, I've raced against every one of them probably. I don't know, man, but like you said, you watch Chili Bowl and you're like, 1, 2, top 5 is California guys. I don't know what it is out here. I know a lot of people knock, hey, California drivers are rough, this, that, but man, we grew up on bull rings. It's tight quarters out here. I mean, you got Placerville, Chico. It's usually hooked up and heavy or big curb. I don't know. It just teaches you to be aggressive and run the car hard. And but yeah, there has been a lot of talent out of California. All the guys you just named. I mean, I think it maybe it's a product of, the go-karts, what we have there. Because Cycland, man, that's a breeding ground. I mean, you got all of them, everyone you named, Logan, Seavey, Grant, we all started there. Larson, Rico, you name it, they were out there running at Cycland. And then, California is just, Calistoga was the biggest track we had. So that's where, you go out to the Midwest and you'd struggle until they picked it up. But we grew up on bull rings with big curves, and that's what you learn to race on.
I believe, and now who's the guy out there? I know Chance Grasty has kind of picked up the pace.
Yep.
You have you have a 14-year-old now, Austin Wood at Placerville, lost by half a car length to Andy Forsberg last week. So it's not slowing down.
No, they just keep coming. I mean, like I said, I don't know if we do have a very healthy micro and outlaw kart deal. Whether, out the micros are a lot down south, Visalia, Plaza Park, all that stuff. But go-karts race here every weekend between Cycland and Red Bluff. You're running a go-kart year round. It's usually Red Bluff ends, it's a week off, you go to Cycland. Cycland runs all the way till November. There's a week off and Red Bluff starts. So these kids you can race from once you're out of diapers until you're time to go into a sprint car. So I think maybe just the track time you get and the racing. I mean, because they get a sprint car and they adapt very quickly. It seems like that. Like you said, Austin Wood. I mean, these kids are just fast right out the gate. I mean, you'll have crashes, but you can always slow a kid down. You're never going to speed them up. So if you ain't got it out the gate, you just probably don't got it. But if you're going fast and on the hammer and you can qualify, you can get to that heat, but you can't finish the main. That'll come. You'll learn to finish the main. You'll learn to win races. So maybe it's just a product of how much racing is out here and how much you can do growing up that we are successful. I mean, and all these kids, like you just named, Buddy, all them, we've been racing since you could walk damn near. And so then we don't know how to fish. We don't know how to camp. I love that. I love camping, but we raced, and that's what you're able to do out here any given weekend you want to.
So I got to ask you this one. This is probably it'd be your hardest one.
Yep.
Uh, I see a lot of shenanigans out
Hmm.
there where if it happened in Pennsylvania, they'd tear down the stands.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, calls, some other stuff, and I'm just shaking my head. How do you deal with that? Where's that come from? I mean, it's just, come on.
What calls you talking about?
Well, you get rid of a dash one night after it's run. That happened for NARC.
Yeah.
Some of the jumps, just some of the stuff.
I don't know. To be honest, like unless I'm there, it's hard for me to pay attention. I miss a lot of that, to be honest.
You're
Um,
lucky.
yeah, that's good. And I'm not much of a social media guy, so
They're
I'll
really lucky now. Now you're talking.
I'll scroll my Instagram or Twitter every once to catch up with races. But yeah, I don't know. And you know what? At the end of the day, that's a hard job to have, being an official. They're they're not getting paid nothing. They're not getting rich, and they're traveling every weekend just because they love it, just like we do. Um, and I've known all these officials my whole life since I was 16. Once I got in a sprint car, damn near it's the same people that are still around 22 years later. So it's just their dedication to the sport. Um, Granted, to say some are wrong, yes, some are wrong, but I'll tell you right now, I don't want that job.
Oh
I'll
no,
fix I'll fix your race car any day. But um, and I've been the first one to throw a helmet because I thought it was a jump start when I was on the front row. But um, I don't know, just not an easy job. I don't know if I have a good answer for that one,
that's
but I
okay.
definitely know I don't want that job. I do know the guys that are out here and that I've known for 20 years. Um, I just couldn't knock them because fuck, if we wouldn't have them, we wouldn't have officials. So they're out here. They love the sport. They're probably spending more money than what they get the paycheck into the night to drive there and do it. Um, so I can't knock them to say they're always right. I can't say that either, but I do appreciate them.
Yeah. So, Brad Sweet and Kyle, they're running Chico. High
Yep.
limits coming out there.
Hmm.
Uh, the World of Outlaws come out there. The state of racing, there is some concern because, I mean, fairgrounds, California, anything could happen.
Yep.
Uh, it's kind of a mixed bag. I don't really know. I like some things. Some car counts have gone up, but then, like some car counts have been down lately, and then you
Yeah.
have comings and goings races and whatnot. What's the state of California racing, in your opinion, from the sprint car side?
I think it's going to be okay. I think, everything we got going on politic wise and all of that, it obviously plays a role on all our stuff. Um, but I think at the end of the day, racers race no matter what. I mean, we're going to have low car counts sometimes. But I mean, we went to a Placerville show last Saturday and there's 30 cars and 24 non-wings. Like, and to me, I, I personally thought the local stuff might hurt this year a little bit. But I felt like those were pretty good car counts for the first Saturday show. And granted, it was 55 degrees. It was freezing. It wasn't ideal flip flops and shorts and 72 degrees. And there was still pretty good car count. I think it's going to be okay in California. I think, like I said, racers race. Um, your teams, we've had some of the staple of California teams not run as much, but man, there's new guys coming up. And I mean, we've even seen, being in business for 7 years, some customers, they leave the sport. It wasn't for the families done, but then just as quick, there's new ones coming in. Um, so, and what Brad and Kyle and Kobe are all doing at Chico's just been great. Like, Gold Cup atmosphere was so much fun last year, excuse me. And that's one of our favorite years. Steven and his family take their camper. We take ours. We got two other groups of friends. We make our little box. We have our little campsite. Granted, we're working our ass off. We do the fuel shack out there,
Oh, okay.
tires. We ran Chase Randall. It's a full week between having fun with the family and friends and racing and selling stuff and fixing stuff. It's wide open. But man, I miss half the stuff they did. I miss the Kenny Wallace talk. I watching Dirt 2. I miss that. I miss the pit stop challenge because we were here getting stuff ready. Um, but what they're turning Chico into is like the staple it used to be. And man, the rate Corey Day won $100,000. If that's not a staple, that's pretty cool. And I mean, I know Dirt Cup's in Washington, but the West Coast, I think we're not racing for $6,000 every weekend like Pennsylvania. I give Pennsylvania credit for 410 stuff. There's stuff. I probably wouldn't leave the porch if I was a Pennsylvania guy. I would be out there racing for $6,000. Tracks look fun, a lot of great racing. I don't know the ins and outs like you do, and all the whatever else, but it looks pretty promising out there. But I feel like what we got going here with 360s, 410s, outlaw swing, high limit swing, I think it's going to be good. Gold Cup's going to be great this year. I don't see them. They're just going to keep building it. And that's, I feel like, our staple. So if that can succeed and be big, I think everything else will just go off of that. And, more people want to get 410s because it did. 410s weren't, you ran NARC and that was the only 410 deal you had. You know what I mean? And with 2 series coming out now, you can run high limits, outlaws. I mean, if I was running for Roth right now, I feel like I could get 80 shows in out here between everything. So I feel like it's going to be okay. We got good upcomers. You got your veterans. Series are going. We just need this wet stuff on my windshield to go away and get back to 80 degrees like it was on Monday. And I think it's going to be good. We got good speed shops, Katings, ART, BR, us, fans. I think it's going to be okay. I think, flow, everything. It's going to be, hopefully just keep growing out here and get better and better.
Only a couple more. Do you miss it? Getting in a car?
I do miss it. So last year I was the first year, 20 years, I did not race a physical race. The year before I done a handful race for the zero car. But last year was the first time I didn't drive a race, but I did get to drive my buddy Mark Frockman's nostalgia car. He rebuilt his dad's car and I drove it at Placerville. Maybe I'll send you the footage because it was the most, like, something I'll never forget. I've forgotten races. And so I got to do that just at Placerville on a, hot lap session. And I was out there with guys going 10 miles an hour and I was out there holding it to the floor as hard as I could. So that was my one race for that year. I did 10 laps maybe. And then this year, I mean, if it comes up and me and Steve want to go race, maybe we will. But by the time we do get a weekend off, it's like, man, you want to go camping or you just want to stay home and do something with the kids? Like, but I do miss it. Like, man, I got in a car. We had play day at Chico maybe 3 weeks ago, a month maybe. And some guy needed someone to drive it to test it out. And I was like, we're not going to be that busy at the fuel shack. I think I can handle that. So he came to the shop, put my seat in. And I mean, I felt like I ran the curb pretty damn good. Well, I'm not in race shape. I'm skinnier and in shape, but race shape's something different. So the arms and hands got a little tired, but I felt like I ripped the curve just like I got out 5 years ago. So I definitely think I can still do it if I got in race shape, and I do miss it, but I'm enjoying everything else I'm doing so much that there's not that urge like, man, I need to go race.
You have over 100 wins. You have 4 NARC titles in 6 years. You won the SECT title. You've beaten the Outlaws. Is there anything, I hate to use the term, left on the table? I know you said you're satisfied, but is there anything where you're like, like Darren Pittman comes back because he wants to win the Williams Grove National Open.
That's what? He impresses me because he is badass every time. Look at Vegas. He was going to win that thing. Like,
it was his.
I give props to these guys, but for me, no, there's nothing on the table. I mean, the only thing more I could want to do is if I wanted to go do that, be an outlaw or a high limit guy and try to contend for a deal. But those years have shipped. I got my 3 kids. I might be a top 10 guy still, but definitely couldn't do that. But no, there's nothing on the table. I won a World Series race in Australia. I won that classic. I won everything out here I wanted to. I guess, Kate, I take that back. Trophy Cup. Oh. Trophy Cup's the one. That's the one that got away. I feel like I was high point guy maybe 10 times and never ended up right for me. So that would be the one thing is Trophy Cup.
Who's the toughest guy you've ever faced? Maybe on a weekly basis, or I mean, everybody say, Donnie Schatz, but okay, but I'd say on
Well,
a local level.
we all know who I'm with. Toughest guy. I mean, okay, so and I didn't race him that much, but Larson has to be the toughest guy. I would be going as fast as I possibly, and this is when he just started. This I would be going as fast as I could, and he'd blow through the corner. I'm like, how did he just carry that much speed through the corner like that?
Yeah.
So he has. I mean, that's got to be an easy answer. I don't locally. I don't know who I'd say. Probably Tim, or but all of them been tough. Racing, it's Rico's tough, but Larson was the one for Gold Cup something. Like I literally thought I was. I don't even remember where I was running. It may have been 8, 7, something. But he blew by me so fast going through the field, and I think that was in the '99 car possibly. But his speed was impeccable, and I didn't know how he was doing it. Which we all know he's a great race car driver, and
Yes.
I love watching him. Whether it's on Sundays if I turn it on for the end of the race or in the '57 car, but he's got to be the toughest guy you've ever raced. That's got to be an answer for everyone almost.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get a lot of from older guys. It's Steve Kinzer, Doug Wolfgang, guys like that.
Yeah.
Donnie I get that answer because, Donnie, I mean, he just lull you to sleep.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of rolls through the middle and, well, that's it. So,
Yeah.
but no, it makes sense. No, Kyle's phenomenal.
Yeah. I do have my one good Steve story is I drove around him at Chico one night at a Gold Cup, and I had to have been 16 or 17. I was on cloud 9, but I think I stuffed it in the fence lab after that or something. But I was on cloud 9 for that 10 extra seconds.
Don't tell the second part of that.
Yeah,
just stick with the first part.
Yeah.
Kyle, you had a great career in your own right. I appreciate you taking time to join us. I know you're working today. I know you got a lot going on, and I see the rain there. Hopefully that stays out there and doesn't come this way.
Yeah.
This weekend we got a 3-race weekend, but Kyle, I appreciate you joining us on the show. It was important to get you, and again, thank you very much.
No problem. I appreciate it. Like I said, I saw my text and I'm like, does he know I'm retired?
Yeah, no, I know you're retired.
No, anytime. I love doing these. It was a good break from work, so I'll head back in and get these race cars ready for the weekend. And thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
Yeah. That's going to wrap up another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com Deep Dive presented by Dottie's Family Market in Dover, PA. Thank you very much to Kyle Hirst for joining us on the show. A lot of good stuff there. If you like the content on our YouTube channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You can also check out our daily exclusive content at SprintCarUnlimited.com. We'll be back next week with another edition of the Deep Dive.